Good morning, everyone. And if you are watching this from the UK, good evening. Welcome to our Google Hangouts. And we're so excited to have as our special guest today, Shelley Perry, who is the founder of this fantastic organization based in the UK called S.E.E.D for short, which stands for Support and Education for Eating Disorders. So welcome, Shelley. We're so thankful to have you with us today and to be able to just talk about some of the great resources that are available for eating disorder sufferers over in the UK.
Hi, yeah, that's really great to be here, and this is a first for me on Google Hangout, so I feel like I've learned something this evening. Guys.
Well, thank you. We're so glad you could join us. And just to get started, can you maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the current work that you're doing?
Yeah, sure. My background is that I'm a mental health nurse, and I qualified 23 years ago, which makes me feel really old. However, that's been a really great journey, and I've learned a lot along the way. And before that, I was struggling with an eating disorder. I had anorexia and bulimia at different times. I was very unwell. I was very depressed. I struggled with anxiety. And it really become my identity. And I was actually in my nurse training, in my mental health nurse training, when I realised that I had an eating disorder. So I was very fortunate to be around a lot of really great people who could help me and direct me, and even just point me in the direction of some research and that I should be looking for. I was also around some really great people as I'd just become a Christian and joined a local church, and they were a really big part of my recovery in terms of support and love, and just being incredibly tolerant with me when I wasn't a particularly nice person to be around at the time. I didn't really know what to do with myself. But all of that story and that journey that I've been on really inspired me to want to set up services for people in the community with eating disorders, right through from early intervention to severe and enduring eating disorders, and wanting to set up services that are within the community, and then right through to inpatient services. I've not got to the inpatient services bit yet, but we're on that journey. Yeah,
that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's just incredible that you've taken your own journey and your own struggle and used that as motivation to help other people now. Which brings me to my next question, which is, your organization, S.E.E.D, Support and Education for Eating Disorders. So you told us a little bit about what inspired you to start it, but can you tell us a little bit more about what S.E.E.D is?
Yeah, as you say, it stands for Support and Education for Eating Disorders. So we offer quite a wide range of services, from support groups, drop-in services, advice and information clinics, to a carers advice and information clinic. These are all held on a weekly basis. We hold support groups, online support groups, and we offer counselling, and all of those services are free to access anytime. Then we also raise awareness, so we host awareness events, and we educate GPs and professionals. We offer bespoke training packages for anybody that wants to know, really, whether it's social workers or teachers. It's all about empowering other professionals to support people at the point of need, rather than waiting until they've become really physically and emotionally unwell. As we know, that's the key, that early intervention stuff. And then we've got the treatment clinic. So everything that I've just explained to you there is under the heading of S.E.E.D, and S.E.E.D is the charity that we set up in 2007. Then we've got Breathe Therapies, which is our treatment clinic. It's a specialist treatment clinic for people with eating disorders. we've now evolved to having 4 pathways. So we've got the eating disorder pathway, weight management and obesity, psychological therapies, and well-being. And again, thinking about early intervention, people can realise that they've got difficulties in any area of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Our ethos was very much about understanding and helping people on their journey wherever they were. And increasingly what we found was that there were things that we could offer as a team, because we've got quite a diverse and very qualified and experienced team, and we were finding that there were things that weren't necessarily related to somebody's eating disorder, but we could offer support around that. That might be related to their well-being. And other people were coming to us who were very stressed and didn't have, for example, and might have had an unhealthy relationship with food. And so we eventually evolved the whole range of services, so that if somebody wants to just come and have reflexology or a massage, because that's what they need at that point, then that's what they can have, and they don't need to have an eating disorder. Equally, we go right across the board to offer outpatient and daycare services.
Wow, that's incredible. And is this just based in a certain area of the UK, or are you throughout the United Kingdom?
Yeah, we've got a very small clinic, and we're growing. And we're growing in terms of demand, but we're also growing geographically. And our clinic's growing. We're about to move out of our current clinic that surrounds me at the moment, and that's because we've grown out of it. So we started here 2 years ago in the treatment clinic, and we've just got 1 treatment room. Now we're using a clinic down the road, and we rent the rooms from there, and we've usually got 4 rooms at any one time with the therapies.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Sorry, that's in Preston. So we're based in Preston, but we're serving Lancashire.
Okay.
And the support services, and that's in the northwest of England.
Okay.
The support services are in various different points across Preston, but we have people travelling from out of area to come to us. So we've often got people travelling up to 2 hours, 2 hours here and 2 hours back to come for a 1-hour appointment. But we also now offer Skype and telephone counselling and support and intervention as well.
That is fantastic. And the fact that people are traveling to come, I think, speaks of the need for these types of services. Can you touch a little bit on some of the unique struggles that individuals with eating disorders might be facing, specific to the United Kingdom?
So specific to the United Kingdom, I guess that's about access to the appropriate support and services. I've nursed a number of clients that I've then struggled to manage within the community, because they needed, at that point on their journey, they needed inpatient care, or they needed 7-day daycare, and we're not funded as a service, so we could have offered 7-day daycare services. However, that would have meant their families, their parents, paying for that on an individual basis, which meant it just wasn't accessible to them. So for us to deliver those services, it would be quite expensive for the family to deliver. So whilst we are the treatment arm of a charity, obviously that costs us quite a lot of money to deliver, and we deliver that on a not-for-profit basis, but it's still very expensive to have specialist clinicians and to have them from 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, which is our full daycare program. So there is nothing in the UK in terms of that's similar to what we offer in terms of the intensive psychotherapies and the treatment approach that we offer, which is very person-centered. We do a 2-hour biopsychosocial assessment, look at what's going on for the individual and their history, and look at what their needs are, and then we put a treatment package around that person that's appropriate and specific to them and their needs. So So we don't look for the label of anorexia or compulsive eating. We don't look at the body mass index. What we look at is the whole person and what that whole person needs. And in the UK, eating disorder services are very focused on the body mass index. So if somebody's got a body mass index of 18, for example, then they're not going to get access to eating disorder services.
Oh, wow.
And they will be told that they're not thin enough to warrant access to eating disorder services. And they'll be made to feel, often, not always, thankfully, but often they'll be made to feel like they're just being a nuisance and they're playing the system. And there's often an assumption that they've got a personality disorder and that it's that they're attention seeking. So I think there's even a misunderstanding around personality disorder in that sense, because when people are turning up for assessment within the NHS and there's an assumption that they've got a personality disorder, that personality disorder it's assumed for a start, but they're treating them as if they've got a personality disorder and as if that personality disorder is something that is deliberate and destructive, almost for fun. They're doing it because they've got nothing better to do. And so there's a real lack of understanding around eating disorders and around personality disorder and issues that come with it. But also, I think this body mass index approach to accessing services is a real problem.
Definitely. And I think you've hit on so many issues that we see here in the States. And I think that speaks to the global stigmas about eating disorders, that there's still so much misunderstanding about the severity of these illnesses and how people who are struggling truly need professional treatment. So, we just really applaud the work that you're doing and the advocacy work too, to really challenge these stigmas and help people connect to the treatment they need. That's wonderful. So in addition to your wonderful organization, are there any other resources for eating disorder sufferers in the UK that you're aware of?
Oh, sorry, are there any other eating disorder services, did you say?
Yeah, or other resources for individuals who are struggling?
Yeah, well, certainly there's the BEAT website, so that's BEAT Eating Disorders. And there's lots of resources for clinicians and for sufferers and for carers on that website. That's particularly useful, and they offer support groups across the country. And there's also Anorexia and Bulimia Care. They do a great website and they offer support to carers via telephone and groups as well. Those are the two national charities in the UK. There's our website there's lots and lots of information on, and I would encourage people to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, because we're always posting information on there about eating disorders. And there are a lot of outpatient services now, thankfully, that have evolved over the last 5 years. So don't be discouraged that that there are no services, because there are services. You just need to know what it is that you're going in and asking for. And if you're aware of the NICE guidelines, I would say take a copy of those NICE guidelines with you. If you've got access to a printer, print off the copy for the GP, his version, and say, there you go, that's your version. And then you've got a copy for yourself. And this is what I did. I did my research. So I needed, as we know, for eating disorders, we need to feel in control. There's identity issues in there. So that's not always a bad thing. I think humans need to feel like they're in control, and you need to feel like you're in control of your journey and of your recovery journey. So be well armed with the information that you need, and then you can direct your GP. You can tell your GP what it is that you need. You need your blood test doing, you need your ECG, you need a bone density scan. Be prepared to engage with a whole range of therapists. It sounds like it's going to be hard work, it's going to be tedious, and it's going to be time consuming. Yes, it is. It's going to be all of those things, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. I think having an illness that's associated with so much stigma, you really do have to be an advocate for yourself. So I'm glad you shared that great insight. Thank you, Shelley. And, we're just so excited to be collaborating with you and work more with organizations on an international level. What collaborative efforts do you think can continue to be made between US organizations and UK organizations that are both working towards the same goals?
Yeah, I think I would love to see much more collaboration, invitations to specialist meetings. I don't know of any specialist networks in the Northwest. The Northwest of England, there's the Royal College of Nursing Specialist Network, and they meet in London, once a quarter, which is very difficult for me to get to.
Right.
And it's very costly. So nobody's going to pay my train ticket and my overnight if I need to do that. And I need to be in clinic because we are still very small, and a lot of the work that I do, I'm still delivering. So if I've got to take a day out to go and have a 2-hour meeting in London, then I've got to look at the value of that in terms of time. So it would be nice to be working more collaboratively with the NHS and with private providers, but also with other charities, and look at how can we refer in, refer out, support each other. And again, internationally. And as I started saying earlier, because there aren't any inpatient units that, in my opinion, are providing what people need at the moment. I've been referring to a number of international units, and certainly in America and in South Africa and in Australia, and people going from the UK to these units.
Wow.
So I think more of that, but also I would love to then work with international eating disorder inpatient units, and I would love to create something myself. And we don't have the money. I'm a single parent. I'm a widow. I don't have any money. I jumped out of what I was doing. I left my job because I was passionate about what I was doing and what I needed to be doing, and I believed that this was what I was meant to be doing. So we've got no backing. We've got no financial backing. But I'm inspired to see some of the amazing work that is in the US and in South Africa in particular. So there's lots of learning, I think, that we can bring to each other.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing that. And, it's just so inspiring to hear what you're doing with so limited resources. And we just applaud your efforts. And I think as there is more understanding and research about eating disorders, we're so hopeful that there will be more resources for professionals like yourself who are really serving the community. So, we'll look to the future with hope for that.
Right.
But thank you for everything you do, Shelley. You're so amazing.
Thank you.
And just to kind of conclude our time together for our Google Hangout today, can you maybe just share a little bit of encouragement that you might offer to anyone who's watching and maybe dealing with an eating disorder, particularly in your area, who may feel like there aren't very many resources to turn to?
Yeah, sure. I can tell you about a young girl that came to me last year, or she was brought to me by her mum. And she was 11 years old, and she'd got to, in a very short period of time, she got to a point where she was spitting out her own saliva because she believed that her saliva was making her fat. She was incredibly anxious, and her self-esteem was absolutely in her boots. She was very, very sad, and was unrecognisable in terms of her personality. And of course, her family were distraught. And she engaged with our services, and it took her about 6 weeks to really settle with the team and accept the help. And then once she did, then gradually she was engaging in art therapy and cognitive behavioural therapy, and with SSCM, which is Specialist Supportive Clinical Management, and with our dietitian as well. And over a period of 9 months, she was then back at gymnastics. She was back, and she'd had to come out of school. She had to stop everything when she was in this state. So when she came to us, we had to just stop everything and pull her out of school before she ended up on a medical unit. But within 9 months, she was back in school. She was back at gymnastics.
Wow.
And then she went to an international competition and was what would they call it? Yeah, she was a cheerleader. So she was back in a cheerleading competition in Paris.
Wow.
And she won with her team in Paris. And that was her goal. That her goal in her recovery was to make sure that she could get to that international comp.
Wow.
And when she came to us, was saying, at the moment there is no way that you're going to Paris. It's just not happening. And so if you want to get there, then you need to engage with us on this journey, and you need to help us and allow us to. And she did, and she got to where she wanted to be. And now she's really, really well. And again, just back to just a happy 11-year-old. So it is possible.
Wow. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off at the end there, but that is just such an inspiring and encouraging story of recovery. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
And just a testament that, when you do connect to the professional help that you need, that recovery is possible, but you don't have to do it alone, and I think the services that you offer are incredible, and that they help so many people who want to get better and want to find freedom from their eating disorders. So we just really appreciate the efforts that you are doing. And any way that Eating Disorder Hope can help support you, we would be more than happy to do that. So thank you again, Shelley.
Thank you.
And can you just share with us one more time your website, and then where we could find you on Twitter, what your Twitter handle is?
Yeah, sure. So we've got 2 websites, one for the charity and one for the treatment clinic. So the website for the charity is www.S.E.E.D Lancashire, that's S-E-E-D Lancashire.org. And the treatment clinic is www.breathetherapies.co.uk. And the Twitter handle is @S.E.E.D Lancashire.
Okay.
And again, @Breathe Therapies.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we'll make sure that we are, I know we're connected on Twitter, so we'll make sure to continue following and share all the great resources that you're offering to the community. So thank you so much again, Shelley, for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you.
And I know it's your nighttime over there, so thank you. Probably at the end of a long day and ready to head home. So we appreciate you sharing with us. And again, we just really applaud and commend your efforts over in England in the eating disorder community. So keep up the great work.
Thank you. And hope you have a great day. You've got it all ahead of you yet.
Yeah, I know. All right. Thank you so much, Shelley. And to everyone watching, please feel free to visit our website as well, eatingdisorderhope.com, for some great international resources if you're in need. So thank you, and stay tuned for our future Google Hangouts. Thanks again. Bye, Shelley.
Bye.